Do you ever wonder why you're missing the bullseye? Would you like to hear some simple techniques of making the most of your time here at the range? Well, today we're going to talk about some tactical tips that are going to help you learn how to shoot better today on Range Talk Live. Hey guys, welcome to Range Talk Live. I'm Jeremy Holbrook here with Mr. Mike Crawford, the General Manager of Bear Arms. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. My voice is almost back, so bear with me.
He's back. Matter of fact, we have special guests all over the place today. Listen, we're going to get you from comfortable to confident with your firearms. That's our goal. And today, what we want to do is welcome you, the viewer, with us. I'm already seeing you guys log in online here live. Thanks for being with us. Here's what we want to do today. We're going to talk about some tips, some tactical tips, some practice tips, because we know to become the best shooter, you've got to spend time in the range. You got to practice what you're doing. And what we also know, people make mistakes. We make misses. We miss the bullseye a lot. Today, Mike, with many years, decades even, in training and whatnot, is going to help us with some common and even some complicated mistakes that we make on the range to help us get to be able to handle our firearms better. So, again, welcome. Guys, do me a favor. If you'll just say hi, press your screen, give us one of those thumbs up, let us know you're here. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and start letting them roll. If you're like, hey, listen, I'm missing that target to the lower left, we're going to get to that. And also, I know that last week, thank you for your patience hanging out with me. I didn't have any partners last week, but I even want you to know that today, owner of Bear Arms, Billy Bear, is here with us. He's behind the camera. And what do I mean behind the camera? Watch this. I'm going to give you a look from his personal cell phone. Look, there he is. Wave in front of the camera. Let us know you're here. There he is. I mean, he is here. So this is amazing. We're going to have two cameras because here in just a moment, Mike's going to be talking about grip and placement of your hands on a pistol. And we want to show you up close what that really looks like. Mike, let's roll in and start with this. I know that you teach from basic handgun class and even concealed class. If there was a number one mistake that people with pistols make when it comes to shooting their firearm, what would that number one mistake be?
All right, first of all, I want to clarify this is a CERT training gun, shoots a laser. So it is not a functional firearm. It's made for training, no bullets. Slide doesn't even work on it. So I just want to clarify that before I get started here. But anytime from beginner to advanced shooters, number one thing that we try to focus on is trigger pull. There's a lot of other important aspects to shooting, sight alignment, sight picture, grip, but number one problem that people have and don't realize is trigger pull. So the easiest way to explain trigger pull, I'm going to start off with finger placement. The first pad on your index finger, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use my right finger, is what you want on the trigger. So you're going to center that first pad on the trigger. When you grip, and I'll go over talk about grip a little bit, center of the pad is on the trigger. You should have a little, and I like to use the example.
I'm going to bring him in really close here.
All right.
I'm going to let you guys see really close what this looks like. Mr. Billy's going to bring it in. Get as close as you can. Because sometimes I think people put their finger in too far, don't they?
Right. Some people will put it in too far, which will cause when you pull, it'll actually pull the muzzle to the right. And if you don't get enough in, you're just using the tip of your finger. Mm-hmm. When I pull the trigger back, it has tendency to push the barrel to the left. So I'm going to go right on the center of that pad. And on my grip, something I like to demonstrate to people, you should be able
a little bit to show them. Like maybe even the other way of how your finger's coming through on that trigger. Okay. That's neat.
Centered on there. So another thing to look for, and I like to show people in class, is you should be able to take a pen and stick it right down in between your pen or between your finger and the actual firearm. There should be a little gap in there.
Okay.
So that's as far as placement of your finger on the trigger. Now, when you're actually pulling the trigger, what I like to kind of demonstrate to people, if you picture you're pulling the trigger from right here to right here, you want smooth, steady pressure.
Now you're on this target here. Is that what you're showing us?
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining this is the trigger.
Okay.
You're moving the trigger from here to here.
Okay.
You want smooth, steady pressure throughout that entire trigger pull. What people will have a tendency to do is they'll start pulling it and they'll anticipate the shot and then wham, they'll slam the trigger.
Okay.
Which causes your muzzle to go all over the place.
That's right. Yeah.
So smooth, steady pressure. Again, this is a training gun. It's not going to fire a bullet. So when I start pulling the trigger, it's just going to be smooth and steady the entire way back until it breaks. And it should surprise you when it goes off each time. So smooth, steady, back, bang, it goes off. Reset the trigger, smooth and steady.
So you're doing one continuous motion.
It's one continuous motion with the trigger. Smooth and steady, slow. When you're starting off slow, once you get into competition, or tactical type shooting where you're shooting faster, you are going to have to speed it up a little bit, but it still needs to be a controlled trigger pull. Another common mistake, people, they're not pulling the trigger straight back. What I like to teach them, if you think about the tip of your finger, you want to pull that towards the tip of your nose. So you want to pull that trigger straight back towards your face. You don't. Anticipating the shot is another big problem that we have to deal with, especially with beginner shooters. We'll see them, they'll get up there and about their first 4 or 5 shots will be great. They'll be bullseyes. And then what you'll see, are we still going?
No, we're okay.
Okay.
I just had to change cameras because I think he dropped his Wi-Fi.
So what you'll see with new shooters, like I said, their first 4 or 5 shots will be great, and then they'll start anticipating the shot. So they'll start pulling back, and you'll see them go like this.
So they're moving up?
They'll start shooting down. Just about every new shooter that comes in, after about 4 or 5 shots, they'll get ready to pull it, and they'll flinch. They'll go down like this, and they'll start shooting low. So for you new shooters out there, if you see your stealth start to shoot low, that's most likely the reason. You're anticipating the shot and pushing down the muzzle before the shot goes off.
You think some people are maybe afraid of the recoil in the gun, and maybe they're trying to embrace that, or?
Right, I don't think it's necessarily they're afraid of it, but they anticipate it coming, and they're trying to hold the gun down instead of a good follow-through, pull the trigger. It's going to come up a little bit. That's inevitable. Right. But they're trying to hold it down before the shot goes off.
It makes sense. I think one of the smartest things I've seen in a training is when you guys insert the dummy rounds.
Yes.
And that trains, I mean, that's even happened to me where I was getting used to a 45, my Glock 21-45. And so I remember in there like, hey, let me see your magazine. They tricked me. They're like, let me load it for you. And then they put it in. They're like, okay, get ready. And my first round was a dummy round, and I'm looking at that target, and right before I pull the trigger, I literally, mentally was embracing for the impact, and because of that, my barrel moved down. And of course, when I pulled the trigger, nothing happened because I had the dummy round, but that taught me, okay, even subconsciously, I can be making myself miss.
Right, and I can't emphasize enough trigger pull, trigger pull, trigger pull. If you want to become a good shooter, you got to learn to pull the trigger correctly, not anticipate the shots.
That's neat. Okay, so that's one of the first things. Now, what I want to talk about now is, and I know we just talked about proper finger placement on the trigger. What about your grip? What's your technique for grip?
Your grip is also very important. So I'm right-handed again, so I'll do this right-handed. Every gun has a back strap. I want to get as high up on that back strap as I can. If you're holding your gun and you have a gap right here when you're shooting, not only accuracy-wise, but that can cause your firearm to malfunction.
Yeah.
Because as that slide goes back, the weapon's kicking back and it's on a pivot. So that's taking a lot of the energy right there. So sometimes you'll get a round stuck in there. It won't eject properly. So high up on the back strap. My left hand, simply if you remember palm to palm, I'm going to take my left hand, touch palm to palm, and wrap that hand around. Both of my thumbs pointed towards the target. Some people will come back a little bit further and have one thumb right over top of the other. I get my hand a little bit further back, and I'll actually, with my right thumb, I'll give a little pressure down with that. And most of my grip pressure, this hand is mostly here for support. So I'm actually going to grip tighter with my support hand. So I got that wrapped around, one thumb over top of the other. Nice firm grip with your left hand if you're right-handed. The more meat from your hands that you can get on your firearm, the more steady it's going to be. So I'm up high. Again, up high, thumbs on top of each other, thumbs towards the target.
I think that's probably a common misunderstanding, even for me. When I took my first basic course, was I thought that the pressure had to be with my right hand, that my right hand was holding it as tight as I could, and then also squeezing the trigger. Turns out, say it's what would you say, 60% left hand pressure, or even 70 maybe, or
probably 70. Like I said, the right hand's going to be there just for support. You're going to have a bit of a grip on it, but the majority of your grip's going to be with the left hand. And kind of tying the trigger pull and the grip in together. A common mistake people will make, we call it milking. I'm going to take my left hand off just so you can see what I'm talking about. But when I squeeze that trigger, I just want to squeeze it with my finger. People have a tendency when they start pulling it, they'll grip the gun. We call that milking.
Huh.
And that actually causes the muzzle to rise when you do
Right.
that, when you're pulling it. So just concentrate on just pulling that trigger with your finger only. So pull it back, straight back until it breaks.
It's good. So we've got grip, we have trigger pull. I think one of the next things would be the sight, right?
Right. Sight alignment is important. But again, trigger, pull, let me put it this way. If my sight alignment's a little bit off, it might throw me off a couple inches, 2-3 inches. If I'm slapping that trigger or not pulling the trigger correctly, that's going to throw me way off, up to a foot, 2 feet off. So again, I can't emphasize enough trigger pull. Concentrate on your trigger pull. So with sight picture and sight alignment, most pistols have 2 posts in the rear, 1 post in the front. When I'm looking through the sights, I'm going to align that front sight in between the 2 rear sights. They're going to be level across. So when I'm looking through, the front sight post is going to be level with the 2 rear sight posts. Theoretically, if I was to clamp this in a vise and just have a perfect sight picture, as I'm looking through, I'm going to see a little bit of light on each side of that front sight post. Again, when you're holding it, you're going to be moving around a little bit. That's inevitable. But theoretically, you want a little bit of light on each side of that sight post. So once my sights are aligned, you have to really think about, where am I looking at? What am I focusing on? 100% of your focus should be on that front sight. So as I'm looking down my sights, my front sight is in focus, my rear sight is a little bit blurry, and my target's a little bit blurry. I really want all my focus right on that front sight. A lot of people don't realize that.
I don't even think I did that right. I think I probably have a blurry front sight as I'm looking at the target.
Right, and it's debated. I mean, if you actually have to use this for self-defense, get in a gunfight, it's up in the air whether people actually use their sights. I know a lot of times when I shoot, I don't even use my sights. That's just something I didn't realize I was doing actually until I started working here and really start focusing on it.
And for those of you just joining us, hey, we're just getting some just practical, tactical tips about how to use that pistol, how to properly grip and trigger pull it. Now, I want you to know it's a safe pistol. It is not even a true working pistol. It's one of our training devices.
Shoots a laser. Let's see if you can see it.
Let's see if you can point that at that. Oh, that's amazing. That's
a good shot too, right?
You may have just ruined our camera. I don't even know. No, but you just know we're all about safety here. And so, okay, so we've got trigger, we've got grip, we've got our line of sight, how to look down. So if we were going to put some things together, and say we have some beginning shooters, let's give some tips. So say they're investing their time and they're here at the range. Of course, the first thing we want you to do is make sure you're safe in the range, so we need you to get some eye and ear protection. And if you don't have them, we'll lend you some here at Bear Arms. You don't have to pay for it. We just want to make sure that you're safe, and your ears and eyes are very important. So you get ready for it, but then you get into your stall. You've got your target set. You got it at the proper the distance that you want to practice. What would be some? Give me 3 things that you want people to do.
Well, even before that, we actually have targets here. It's called the troubleshooter. The reactive targets, as you shoot it at a bullseye, wherever you're hitting. First of all, what we want to see is consistent clusters of bullets, groups.
Right, groupings.
If you're shooting all over the place, then you obviously have a lot of problems.
It's your gun.
No, it's not your gun. Well, most of the time it's not your gun.
I blame it on the gun.
But yeah, what we look for is consistent groups. So if you have a, excuse me, if you're shooting at this bullseye up here and you got a consistent group right here, this troubleshooter target that we actually have here at Bear Arms, you can look up and it has chart of what most likely you're doing wrong.
There's a pretty good probability. For example, like we talked about earlier, if you are low left, the chances are is you are moving right before you shoot and it's making that barrel go a little bit down because you're bracing for that impact.
Right, or jerking the trigger, slapping the trigger will cause that. So, like I said, we look for groups of bullets, where the majority of your bullets are, and then we can kind of diagnose what you're doing wrong from there. Plus, we'll be watching you. If we go back there with you, we'll be watching, because what I see just about every time with a beginner, like I said, is right before the shot goes off, I'll see him do that.
Lean into it.
And it's easy fix. Those are easy fixes. I mean, something like that, all you have to do is dry fire. come down to our range, take all your bullets out, rack the slide, and you'll just dry fire over and over again. And that gets you used to not anticipating that
Right.
shot. Or the dummy rounds, like you said.
And that's a good practice technique, too, that you can do at your house. I like doing that at my house, too.
Absolutely make sure that your gun is empty, unloaded, and that you're in a safe area when you're doing it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Safety first.
Okay, so, you can even look at these targets. And I would just recommend it. If you're a first-time shooter, or maybe you're just in the first couple months of training with your pistol, pick up one of these targets here. Go see what you can do. And then it even has things on the top of how you can improve your shots. If you're seeing the group below, it tells you some good techniques of how to get it higher. Maybe it is in your grip. But for someone who's also just started, maybe they've done this a couple rounds, maybe even for us seasoned shooters.
Right.
When I say seasoned, I don't mean I'm good. I just mean I've tried for so long to get good. It's not working.
What you're saying there, even with advanced shooters, competition shooters, they always go back to basics. Trigger pull, sight alignment, sight picture, grip, stance. Always go back to your basics. If you want to improve yourself, it's all about the basics.
Bad habits come back quick.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't practice the proper technique, they'll come back. So speaking, that's some good. Do me a favor, if you're watching again live, or even if you're catching us on a replay, if you're watching this later today, do me a favor. If you have any questions about just basic firearm shooting, your pistols, or about the techniques, anything that Mike's mentioned, give us a couple questions. We're going to go back and look at it later today, and we're going to answer them. So if you'll do us that favor, that would be great. Let's move on to our leagues. We got some league news.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, man, leagues are in full swing all across the board. I know that tonight, this Friday evening, right now, tonight, I'm looking forward to it. It's round 3 out of 3 competitions for our Glock Sports Shooting Foundation. It's the 3rd out of 3. If you have participated in 2 of the 3 rounds, you're literally, your score matters, but you can enter for a brand new Glock pistol, and it has nothing to do with your score. Literally, we'll get here this evening, and at 6:30, we're going to draw tickets. Anybody can win a Glock tonight.
And it's fun.
It is fun. And matter of fact, we'll take a week off after this Friday, because we still have our Bass League, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then we're going to start a new Glock League in 2 weeks. So we love this. I love GSS.
The Glock League and the Bass League are getting really popular. We're getting a lot of good attendees, and again, we always like to emphasize it's from beginning shooters all the way up to advanced shooters. I mean, come out and have a good time. Any 7 years of age and up. We got several kids involved in it now.
I love the Bass League, and I love Glock. I think Glock's a great league for adults. And again, we call it the Glock League. It's Glock sponsored, and you have to shoot a Glock handgun. But the Bear Arms Sports Shooting, which is next Friday, and it's actually the 3rd week next Friday, is for any handgun. You don't have to shoot a Glock. Matter of fact, we have a couple people, one included, that's shooting rimfire. I'm shooting a Ruger 22. And my buddy Brady, who is doing so good, young man, he's shooting the Ruger 22, and he's doing fantastic. And so I think it's a great league to develop skills. And I think sometimes when you give that little bit of added pressure on a league, it trains you.
Saturday night, we got the AR League starting back up. The AR 15 League, man, come out for that. That's going to be fun. We're starting it up, change some stuff around. It's going to be exciting.
I talked to Scott this morning.
Yeah.
He's excited. So what we used to have AR on Wednesdays. Now we're going to do it this Saturday evening, and it starts at 6. Here's the details. You get 50 rounds, and this time we're testing speed and accuracy. So there's going to be 2 20-round. They're actually looking at double taps this time. They're looking to test that speed and accuracy, and then standing, even shooting with your offhand with your AR. How are you with 5 rounds left-handed? I don't say you have to be ambidextrous, but it's a challenging shot. And then one of our big things.
Does that mean you can breathe underwater?
If you're ambidextrous, yeah, you can.
All right.
I'm amphibious. Anyway.
But along with the AR League, probably here in the next week, we're going to be adding some new classes to Bear Arms, starting off with an intro to tactical rifles.
Oh, that's neat.
Working all the way up to advanced tactical rifles. So check our Facebook, our website. We're going to be announcing those here in the next week as far as dates and what's going on, cost and such.
And my new favorite thing, this has been my favorite edition of my life in the last 2 weeks, is Bear Arms Youth League. wow. We had our safety briefing last Saturday morning. A few kids showed up, new shooters, which I love the fact that we have new shooters. Anywhere we have 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds who are coming here and shooting for the first time, picking up a nice Cricket rifle, which is one of the most safest rifles there are because it's bolt action, single shot, but you still have to pull back the striker. My son is now a part of the Bear Arms Youth League. Now listen, if y'all don't know my son, but you should know him at some point because he's a funny kid. We have done soccer. We have done t-ball. We just did our first season of basketball. Again, he's in kindergarten. We just did our first basketball season. We've been taking him to Taze Valley for basketball instructions once a week. And now my son, he had the option today, like literally today after school. I said, Carson, do you want to practice shooting for Youth League for tomorrow's first competition, or do you want to go to basketball practice? And he told me he wants to come to Bear Arms today. That is awesome. Yeah. That makes me really, really happy. Now, practices for Youth League with a coach are Monday evenings from 5 o'clock to we close at 8. Now, he's going to come in and practice with me today. It's just daddy and son practice time today. But the competition starts tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And I've never even seen the Youth League competition, but I'm ready to see the dozens of kids here who are going to be competing. And as they progress every season, their distances grow. So I'm thrilled about tomorrow morning and the Youth League.
We want to get it out also because we still got people that are coming in that want to get involved in it. It's not too late. Come in. They can come in and watch tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Monday night, bring them to practice, and we'll get them going, caught up with everybody else.
Lots of practice, says Carol. Carol, thanks so much. I look forward to seeing Carol and Mike tonight here at the Glock. So, all right, so we've talked about the Youth League, which is exciting. Again, we love the fact that we can help train children and youth with firearms the proper way, that they develop respect and discipline with these guns, with these firearms. Also, of course, we've got Glock tonight. Well, we have the final week of Bass is next Friday, and we'll talk about that next Friday, I'm sure. And then also AR that starts this Saturday. And Ladies' Night.
6:30 p.m. Ladies'
Night, Tuesdays. Do we drop a disco ball or something? Well, I mean,
Ladies' Night's getting really popular, and they're having a blast, literally.
I don't even feel like I'm allowed to talk about it. It's almost like Fight Club.
Yeah.
I'm not even allowed to. I can't be here. They don't even let me in the door. Although I'd be scared of it.
We do need to give an update on our progress of our range in Huntington as well. Obviously, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's been raining a lot. At one point, the cement factory was underwater, so it's caused some delays, but we're still looking April.
At one point, we thought about making a Bear Arms Arc, and for this area because it rained so much. But I guess we'll stay with the new range. So we've had a lot of questions about that when you guys open it, which is great because we like that excitement. So thanks for asking, but it's coming.
Oh yeah, and it's beautiful. Coming. It's going to be pristine. You guys are going to love it.
Matter of fact, if you check out our Facebook page, which you guys are on right now, if you're watching live, we've had some questions asked. If you have pictures, of World War II, if you have family, we'd like to honor them because part of our decorating process of the new restaurant is going to be honoring veterans, and so we would love to do that, especially if they're local and family. We want to take a chance to honor them. So that'll be neat. I'm trying to think of anything else, and I don't mind. We're going to probably cut this one short. We don't have to go 30 minutes every time. No. We're just glad that you're here with us, and man, we hope to see you here over the weekend at some capacity. If it's shooting or training, if you see someone here that's an employee and you need help, ask. They will help you in the range. We have the nicest people that have licensed trainers and whatnot, but they're really good too, and they don't mind to help you. That's why we exist. So until next time, hey, I think next Friday we're going to do a special.
What are we going to do?
I think we want to go live next Friday from downstairs in the shop. I'm going to show you what it looks like to be in the showroom for 30 minutes next week. And you can see, we got really good customers, which means if you want to come next Friday and be on the show, we'll let you, as long as you bring donuts or some sort of breakfast.
You don't have to bring donuts. Although we do like donuts.
But I promise you'll get on the show if you bring donuts. Anyway, for Mike and for owner Billy, we want to say thanks for being with us. I did want to say one more thing. Spring cleaning. Spring cleaning. It's always good to take care of your firearms. And I know that we have that sonic cleaner downstairs. The
We do.
ultrasonic.
We actually have the ultrasonic cleaner, and we just added a steam cleaner as well. Professional. I mean, if you got some hard to get off dirt, it's going to get it off. Either way, the ultrasonic cleaner or the steam cleaner.
And that's a part of taking care of your firearms. Make sure they're clean. I don't know. How often would you recommend a good ultrasonic cleansing?
An ultrasonic cleansing, I clean my gun just about every time after I shoot it. The ultrasonic cleaner, I mean, that's kind of up to you guys. You can do it after every time you shoot, or at least after every 400 or 500 rounds.
Yeah.
Give it a good ultrasonic cleaning.
I try. I mean, I take mine and I'll clean it, hand clean it, and I'll break it down probably every 200 rounds. But I think for a good, never bad to have a clean weapon, right? Never bad to have a clean pistol. But we've got the best here. And so if you want to, as you're cleaning out your garage, why don't you bring your handgun down here and let us clean it for you? It's good stuff. Guys, listen, we'll see you next week. And until then, be safe, be smart, love your neighbors, and we'll catch you next Friday.